Welcome, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Mary Ann Hensley. I'm the Vice President of Media Operations here at FreightWaves, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's presentation, which is being presented in partnership with Uber Freight. Today, I'm joined by Francesco Favaro, Strategy and Planning Lead for Uber Freight, as well as Vivek Ojha, also a Strategy and Planning Lead for Uber Freight, and they are here to discuss how freight procurement has been affected as the market has softened, and they'll be sharing tips and best practices to make the best use of real-time procurement over traditional methods. But before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. First, if you have any issues during the webinar, you can reach out to our team via the audience chat function in your webinar console. Francesco and Vivek will also be taking your questions live, so as those come to you, please enter those through the Q&A box in your console, and we will answer as many of those as possible during the live Q&A following the presentation. We'll also be sending a link to the recording of this webinar tomorrow in case you'd like to view it on demand or share it with your colleagues. And at this point, I'd like to welcome Francesco and Vivek. Great to have you both here. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, thank you, Marianne. Hello, everyone, and great to be here. I'm Francesco, and I lead the market access business at Uber Freight. I've been at Uber Freight for the past 3 years, and during this time, along with many esteemed colleagues, have been focusing on bringing real-time marketplace products to market. Before Uber, I worked at Macquarie, and I was involved in infrastructure development and financing. Over to you, Vivek.
Thanks, Francesco. Hi, everyone. My name is Vivek. Thanks for having me here. I am also a strategy and planning lead at Uber Freight. I currently drive our strategy for real-time procurement solutions. Prior to Uber Freight, I worked at McKinsey & Company in consulting and served a number of our transportation and logistics clients. Excited to be here and speaking with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you both. And so before we fully dive in, Francesco, can you tell us a bit more about Uber Freight and its business?
Absolutely. Uber Freight, as many of you might know, was born about 6 years ago. And our vision was really to connect shippers and carriers in real time and simplify the movement of goods. We have since invested significantly in developing tools for both carriers and shippers, and developing our network. And products that we've developed over the past 6 years include our driver app, our carrier and shipper web portal, and API interfaces. Fast forward 6 years, our technology now empowers shippers of all sizes with 24/7 access to our marketplace, which includes 130,000 carriers, giving them access to 1.7 million plus drivers. It provides customers with instant quotes and transparent, reliable execution with minimal manual intervention.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the background. Very helpful. And so just to dive in, my first question for both of you is, what is happening in the market and what are the implications for organizations today?
Absolutely. Well, the market has been on a roller coaster. Up until the beginning of this year, I'm sure many of the shippers who are connected will know that everyone was struggling to find capacity, and everyone had to rely extensively on the spot market to move their shipments. Since the beginning of the year, the capacity constraints have eased, and spot rates have now fallen by close to 30%. However, that hasn't made freight procurement any easier. In fact, the market is still very volatile, and shippers who locked in contract rates at the beginning of the year are now paying significantly above market. And many of them have actually tried to reprice their contracts or run mini bids to try to take advantage of the current market, while others have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to understand where the market is going. But the reality is that the freight rates are hard to forecast now. I mean, we've published extensively on this topic through our blog posts and on LinkedIn. And this is really a hard time to predict rates, and it's probably the hardest time we've ever seen. We have rising fuel prices and inflation that have added pressures to carriers' cost models. which further impact rates. And this adds to the traditional challenges of procurement teams, which are constantly challenged by their organizations to do more with less. And particularly now, as businesses are preparing for a potential economic downturn later in the year. In summary, if I can summarize it, Marianne, I think that the job of supply chain professionals has never been harder than it is today. That's the state of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vivek, anything to add on your end?
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. I wanted to, adding to Francesco's comments, further highlight the stark contrast we've seen between 2021 and 2022 market year to date, and how they represent the cases for a tight and loose market and pose challenges for shippers if they're employing the traditional procurement strategies alone. As you can see on the left side of the slide, representation of tight market, the kind of market we saw in 2021, where contracts were unreliable and shippers had to go, due to routing that fares, procure freight in the spot market. Not only that spot market was more expensive, it also posed additional operational burden for shippers. As a result, they overpaid compared to the budgets that were set. Now, of course, in 2022, we are seeing a stark reversal. We are seeing that volumes in spot markets rates have dropped, but shippers are locked into elevated contract rates. And it's not efficient to always be repricing and doing mini bids and new RFPs. So even in this softening market, shippers are really not able to take advantage of softening market using the traditional procurement approaches, and hence overpaying compared to what they could in the market. So as the traditional approaches are, shippers are seeing that they are underperforming. We are seeing that they are embracing the real-time procurement solutions a lot more as they see that these solutions can evolve with changing markets and deliver advantages.
Yeah, so it's really tough right now. And like you both said, in addition to market conditions, shippers also have to deal with multiple organizational, resourcing, and budget challenges as well. So my next question for you is, what does real-time freight procurement mean, and why is it important?
I'll take this one. So, Marianne, we believe that real-time procurement provides significant advantages over traditional procurement strategies, such as contract, spot, or mini bids. When shippers procure through traditional procurement methods, they typically have to make trade-off decisions between cost, service, operational efficiency, transparency, and ability to budget cost. I'll give an example. In a declining market like we are in today, a cost-focused shipper will probably try to reprice its awards to keep up with the market. This erodes carriers' trust in contractual commitments. And so if the market tightens again, the shipper may see heightened levels of tender rejections, which will eventually lead to excessive reliance on the spot market, cost overruns, and operational overhead to try to manage the surge of spot market volume. Additionally, traditional procurement methods, as we know, they lack transparency, which means that the shipper does not know exactly how much is being paid for the transportation of the goods, what is the underlying carrier cost, what is the margin being charged on top, and this leaves the shipper wondering if she's paying the fair price for their freight. And this is, we think, a limitation of current procurement approaches. Whereas what we think at Uber Freight is that there's a different approach, and this approach is to procure capacity digitally on a real-time marketplace. And this is something that we believe for a long time and has really played out in the last couple of years. We launched our first products that enable customers to procure in real time in 2019. We really have been pioneers in this space, and I've worked since with several shippers of all sizes, including Fortune 100 companies, that have really, over the past couple of years, taken advantage of this digital marketplace and ability to procure transparently in this constrained and ever-changing market. And our initial core idea behind real-time procurement is really to provide shippers with direct access to Uber Freight's digital marketplace, so that we can connect them instantly to our network of more than 1.7 million drivers. And we can help them by using our algorithms and continuously drive to the optimal price and coverage outcomes with carriers on our marketplace. And then once a carrier is sourced, Uber Freight's technology is able to fully execute the load digitally. And upon delivery, the shipper will pay the carrier rate that's realized in the marketplace, plus a pre-agreed upon fee. So everything is transparent. Shippers know exactly what they're paying for. It's the cost realized on this very liquid, digital, competitive marketplace, plus that fee. And that's a little bit about the product that we've created, the solutions that we created. And I'll be happy to expand a little bit more if you want on the benefits. But first I wanted to provide that overview.
Thank you so much, Francesco. And so it sounds like Uber Freight's technology is really empowering organizations to navigate the challenges of tough market conditions. So moving on to the next question, how does real-time procurement compare to traditional procurement in a tight and loose market? And what are some of the key advantages?
Absolutely. So let's really talk about this comparison between traditional and real-time procurement and what that means. So as you can see on this screen, in a tight market, shippers vastly can using our real-time procurement solutions, can really expand the carrier network that they're able to reach. So think about in a traditional contract arrangement, a shipper will go out to, let's say, 30 carriers. When they procure on our marketplace, they're able to reach out to 1.7 million plus carriers that are or drivers that are connected to our marketplace, and this really dramatically increases the competitiveness of any opportunity that they put out to market. Then the second advantage of this in tight market, what the second advantage of real-time procurement is that shippers get a service advantage. Because they can get 100% or close tender acceptance, which in turn reduces operational cost, which the shipper will typically have to pay when they are moving a lot of their freight from the contract solution to the spot market. Conversely, when you think about loose market, shippers can take advantage of declining rates. So in a loose market, shipper will lock in rates, and as the market loosens, as Vivek showed before, they are foregoing a cost-saving opportunity. With the real-time procurement solution, they're able to capture that in full and pay really the realized carrier cost at that point in time plus a fee. And the result that shippers see across their portfolio, and this we've proven this actually with actual customers, is that they're able to see better cost, better service, lower operational workload, more transparency, and now thanks to some innovative cost and risk management tools that we recently launched, they're also able to better budget their cost, their freight spend.
Excellent and super interesting. So this is super comprehensive to see the impact of tight and loose markets on how organizations would procure carrier capacity day to day. My next question is a little more specific. So where does real-time procurement fit into a shipper's network? And what are some use cases? And could you provide some examples of your customers who've been able to implement the solution?
Yes, definitely. I'll ask Vivek to chime in a second with concrete examples. The short answer is that this solution could be used really for a variety of lane types, both low and high volume lanes, and both in a primary or a backup solution, or both as a primary and a backup solution. When we first launched our real-time procurement solutions in 2019, we really had designed it to suit the procurement needs for low volume, volatile lanes, mini bids, and project freight. These are the lanes that are really hard to source for through a traditional contract. Tender acceptance remains low, and the spot market is traditionally very, very elevated for this type of lanes. And with our real-time procurement and sourcing automation, we were able to really bundle loads together, cluster lanes, which enables shippers to offer better loads and better lanes to carriers, which then attract better service and lower cost. So especially in a tight market, as we experienced in the last couple of years, we were able to deliver a significant advantage over the market for our customers on low volume lanes, actually as much as 20% for some shippers. And these lanes remain a very good fit in actually any market condition for real-time procurement. However, I think the true innovation that we're going to discuss a little bit, hopefully further on today, is now we have evolved our real-time procurement solutions to become highly suitable for high-volume lanes that are traditionally procured through contract, including primary commitments and really as an alternative to the repricings and rebiddings that shippers are doing currently. And we built really features that enable shippers to budget their spend, because we heard that shippers, when they were considering real-time procurement solutions, that they had concerns that real-time meant blank check to the broker. So we built some tools that really address this concern and enable shippers to budget their spend even on higher volume lanes. And a number of our largest customers have already employed these real-time solutions on these higher volume lanes, and have really seen great benefits, particularly since the start of the year when the market has loosened. They've been able to capture a lot of savings. Perhaps, Vivek, if you want to expand a little bit on some shippers that we've been working with, that would be great.
Thank you, Francesco. Yes, I would love to share a couple of examples of how our shippers are using real-time procurement to their advantage. First, one of our top 10 beverage shipper in the US, they wanted to take advantage of the softening market in 2022, and they were looking for solutions for some of their relatively low volume lanes that they had traditionally sourced through contracts. And they really liked the value proposition of the real-time procurement solution. As Francesco highlighted, it uniquely worked very well for such lanes. So they employed a real-time procurement solution where they were immediately able to lower the cost compared to the incumbents. They were able to reduce the cost by 8.5% on at least 8.5% on the lanes that they were procuring through real-time procurement solution, and great overall savings from the programs are being projected. Now, a couple of key points to highlight that not only they saw immediate savings, but this worked out really well for them because market continued to soften over time. Had they gone for just a reprice or another traditional procurement approach, they would have locked into some savings, yes, but they would not have experienced the benefits from the continually softening market. Now, not only that we transferred the market benefits to the shipper, but the other advantage that we were able to deliver, or the real-time procurement solution was able to deliver, is employing innovative techniques in how we optimize capacity and pricing. So an example of that is dynamic clustering, which came into play for the shipper quite a bit, where we were able to use load volume from multiple shippers on some corridors, some clusters, and use that as a negotiating power to deliver capacity at lower prices. And these benefits with real-time procurement transfer to shippers immediately. The second example I wanted to share is of Rural King. Rural King is one of the early adopters of our real-time procurement solution, and they use it at scale now. They were in 2021 struggling to find capacity, full truck capacity, given that they operate in rural areas. A lot of their lanes are they're hard to cover. And when they do find coverage, the prices were often elevated. So they were really struggling to keep their shelves stocked in the pandemic environment. And that's when they turned to a real-time procurement solution. What they were able to do immediately is to take advantage of our vast network. So now they had access to 130K plus carriers and immediately improve coverage. Over time, though, as they were consistently tendering loads to our real-time procurement program, they also saw consistent repeat carriers taking their loads. And they were very smart about using the price and priority controls that we have built in the solution, where they were able to drive outcomes, cost, and coverage both based on their objectives to also drive costs much lower. As a result, they saw a 20% reduction in their realized costs. So both these have been great examples, and then we are only seeing more shippers come in and use the real-time procurement program in a variety of use cases, as Francesco mentioned, that it's now no longer limited to low-volume lanes or hard-to-cover lanes.
Thank you, Vivek. So it sounds like your customers are really making the best use of this solution. So I just have a couple more questions here. I've also heard of another provider who offers RFP replacement and solutions for contracts. So what differentiates Uber Freight in your real-time procurement solutions?
Yeah, thank you, Mary, and I can take that question. It's a great question. And just the scale, transparency, the liquidity on our platform, the competitiveness of our marketplace, these are great features right there. These are almost prerequisites for a top real-time procurement solution to work efficiently. And these are advantages that are not easy to replicate. But today, let me highlight some of the specific features we have built in our solution that help our shippers in their typical use cases. So first, I wanted to highlight the cost and coverage controls that apply at load level. What shippers are able to do with our solution is specify the load priority and their willingness to pay for a particular load, which is the maximum price they're willing to offer a carrier on our marketplace. Now, through these inputs, shippers are actually driving our algorithms to optimize the cost and coverage outcomes for them. So price-sensitive shipper that has some flexibility in when the load moves can actually try on the marketplace will the marketplace take a very aggressive price, because they do have the flexibility to move the load a little later. Likewise, shippers can specify high priority loads, and that drives the algorithms to drive coverage over cost. So these controls can be exercised on a load by load level. The second feature I wanted to highlight is the lane level price caps. Thank you. What lane level price caps are is lane level price caps represent the most the shippers will pay for a load on the lane. These are set in advance as we are analyzing the different lanes that the shippers can use this program for. These price caps are also configurable. So depending on the shipper's appetite for risk, they can set aggressive price caps or more conservative price caps. And we are able to quantify the risk associated with these price caps and bake it into our pricing. So the way price caps work is shippers will always pay the lower of either the price cap or the realized carrier cost plus a fee. So no matter which direction the market moves, the most that they will pay is the price cap. This solves a problem that shippers have always had with real-time procurement programs or costless solutions or fee-based models, where they always felt like they are handing us over a blank check if they have no ability to budget for the lane. And this construct, where we are able to, one, quantify the risk and then price the risk in an extremely transparent manner, has solved that pain point. With all that and price caps in play, we, of course, continue to offer near 100% tender acceptance, no matter which direction the market moves. So this has been sort of a game changer, a paradigm shift, this capability, where we are bringing this solution to freight transportation. And this risk management hedging solution has existed in other commodity industries, but at scale is being implemented the first time here. Very, very excited to offer this. And this has been made possible only because of the liquidity that we now have on our marketplace and our digital first approach.
Excellent. So really interesting. And we are almost at time here. And definitely want to take some questions from the audience, which are already starting to come through. So I'd just like to ask one last question. What would be your top 3 takeaways for audience and recommendations?
Yeah, I can take this one, Marianne. So I think what would like the audience to come away with is to rethink their traditional way of procuring freight. Now, traditional procurement has worked in the past, but has also proven to be challenging, particularly in volatile markets as we are in today. And at the core, traditional procurement approaches do require a compromise, as I said before, between service cost, operational efficiency, transparency, and ability to budget their freight costs. Now, we believe that real-time procurement actually enables shippers to achieve the optimal outcomes across all these dimensions, so that shippers no longer have to compromise. And we are at Uber Freight. We think that we're trying to lead the way in how real-time procurement enables shippers to procure in real time. Given our vast digital marketplace and the tools that Vivek has just described. The final takeaway, I think, is to once you've understood the limitations of traditional procurement and how Uber Freight can potentially add value, is to really try it out. And we stand by our word. We stand by what we've been saying. Traditionally, the best environment to try it out is really on low volume and volatile lanes. However, given the budgeting and risk management features that we've introduced recently, we think that shippers can really also start to try it out on high volume lanes and really realize the cost benefits of procuring in real time versus contract rates that may have been negotiated at the start of the year. We're available here for your audience, Marianne, and we have a team ready to support for any follow-up if anyone wants to try the solutions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Francesco. And at this point, everyone, we would love to take your questions live here. So as I mentioned earlier, you can submit those through the Q&A box in your console, and we will dive right into these. So first question here. The bigger the shipper is, the more the need to integrate with their TMS and execute procurement there. But their procurement module is not that good. Is there an opportunity to capture this niche?
Vivek, do you want to cover this one?
I can take that question. And if we could go back a couple of slides, that would be great to highlight our point on integrations. So great question. We realize that for large shippers, it's important that they stay within their TMSs and yet take the advantage of the real-time procurement program. And to make that happen, we thought through it from the very beginning and have built integrations with major TMSs such that loads could be tendered to the real-time procurement solution right from their TMSs. Their processes don't have to change. An important new aspect of the real-time procurement solution is to be able to pass the realized cost back to the shipper TMS, which is also something we are able to accomplish with most TMSs. and of course, continue to take into account the unique elements of invoicing that come into play in a real-time procurement solution. To give you an example, shippers pay the lower of either the carrier cost plus fee or the price cap that we are able to establish. So to make sure that invoicing flows and accounts for that is also in place. So hope that answers your question. The key point is that very much in line with what you're saying, we've kept in mind that this needs to work with TMSs and enhance TMSs to make use of the real-time procurement programs.
Excellent. Thank you, Vivek. And next question that's come through here. How are you ensuring that the loads are being picked up in a timely manner? Sorry, it moved on me. And that the service time is achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. I can take this one. This is a great question, and this is where really the strength of our marketplace lies. The first way in which we ensure that loads are moved in a timely manner is by having a great marketplace with great liquidity that ensures that there are a lot of carriers that are looking at loads and that are booking loads, and the quicker the booking, the higher the chance that the load will move in a timely manner. The second thing is through our automation. So what we've done is we've really worked on improving every single step of the load lifecycle that leads to the booking by the carrier, so that as the load comes through to us from the shipper, any appointment scheduling, anything related to putting the right price on the load, anything related to ensuring that we're evaluating which is the right carrier, and balancing the price and the service that we want to provide on that load. Everything is being automated, so that means that we can shorten the time between when the load comes through to us and when it's made available on our marketplace for booking. That in turn extends the time that's available for carriers to look at the load and potentially cover it. And then finally, there's the technology, but there's also a very experienced operational team that supports all of our shippers. And we often talk about how good our technology is, but we should also talk about the people and the team that we've built that is complementing our technology and working with shippers and carriers to ensure that service levels are maintained.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Francesco. Next question here. How do I integrate Uber Freight's real-time technology if I don't have a TMS? Yeah,
I'm happy to take this one. So we actually internally at Uber Freight, we think about our customers exactly like that. Customers with a TMS and customers without a TMS. So for customers with a TMS, as Vivek talked about, we have designed these integrations that enable shippers to seamlessly access these real-time procurement solutions directly on their TMS. And this is something that we're going to continue to work on. We have amazing TMS partnerships, and we're just going to continue to work in that direction because that's what shippers with the TMS want. Then on the flip side, we have shippers that don't have a TMS. And for those, we've created a platform, which we call Uber Freight Enterprise, that enables shippers to essentially use our marketplace the same way that they would be able to do if they had a TMS. They would be able to create a load in our marketplace, and they would then be able to monitor the status of the load as it moves into our marketplace and is being matched to carriers. They're able to operate those load price and priority controls that Vivek talked about a few minutes ago. And then as the load is booked and starts being moved on that same platform, shippers will be able to see tracking information and documentation as the load is delivered. In addition, we've recently launched another feature that enables shippers to also see all their accessorial requests and seamlessly approve accessorials. So it really enables those shippers that don't have a TMS to quickly get access to this functionality, these real-time procurement solutions in a friendly user interface.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And next question here, what happens if there's an uptick in the market? How will you provide competitive rates versus spot and contract?
I can take that question. In the scenario that we are using real-time procurement solution and the market tightens, one is some of our features come into play, the price cap feature that I talked about. That provides an upside protection. Even if the market tightens, you continue to pay the price cap and not anything above that. Now, that aside, if a shipper is not using that and using the regular real-time procurement solution, we do employ a number of techniques based in analytics and to optimize the price and coverage that we can drive for the shippers under this program. So an example, there would be one lane clustering that I mentioned, where we are able to bundle loads together from different shippers and exercise negotiation power to get lower rates from carriers. We are also able to create bundled loads where where carriers are utilizing their capacity better by doing multiple loads in one trip. And we are also using state-of-the-art algorithms to take advantage of how each load is to be broadcast through our app to such a large number of carriers. Now that generates more competition than typically seen in the industry and drives the prices low. So with all these features put together, we have seen excellent buy-to-market capabilities in most markets. When by buy-to-market, we continuously measure that how are we delivering, what is our buying power compared to the market indices, and we consistently measure ourselves on that big benchmark. And we've seen that we are overperforming the market for a significant period of time now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vivek. And next question, with the price cap solution for high volume lanes, what happens if you can't cover the load at or below the price cap?
Yeah, Miriam, I can take that one as well. So great question. So first I wanted to clarify through this question that if the market tightens and say every load starts hitting price cap, so market tightens and now the carrier rates have gone up, we continue to provide near 100% tender acceptance, and the shippers continue to pay only up to the price capped amount, not above that. The reason we are able to do that is even ahead of setting price caps, we do fairly complex scenario modeling and risk analysis to establish what is the probability of the market breaching the price caps, and we bake in that risk transparently with working closely with the shippers into our pricing. So short answer is that we continue to deliver near 100% tender acceptance, and we eat up any difference in cost above price caps.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question here. As a shipper, we want to secure capacity up front and drop trailers on loading and unloading end. Our DC needs may outweigh our freight savings. How do we get both? How do we overcome the drop trailer issue that we want to use on at least 85% of our loads?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about that because this, really also relates to real-time procurement. The utilization of drop trailers and best utilization of facilities docks is something that we're really thinking hard at Uber Freight. We have actually started working with a few select shippers on how we potentially improve their drop trailer program using real-time marketplaces. So the idea is to essentially have this pool of drop trailers that are available for a shipper to use. And then we use our marketplace to source the capacity to, in real time, to move those trailers. And this is something that, we've built the infrastructure for. We've, as you know, have a program called Power Loop that is, has been effective for many years, and we've been expanding over time. Is now available in Texas, California, and Georgia. And we're continuously expanding and bringing to new areas, new geos inside the United States. But the additional component here is that shippers are now able to also add on top of that this digital real-time marketplace layer, where let's say that they're typically, as you think about drop procurement or drop trailers, the demand needs to be very stable and very consistent. Now, because we're able to source that capacity that moves those trailers in real time, this can also address the needs of shippers, as your listener is suggested, where they may have some volatility in demand and may need to source additional capacity to move some additional drop trailers or to improve drop trailer utilization in real time. This is something that we're still experimenting with a few select shippers, and we're seeing very encouraging signs, and we'll probably be able to bring to market to many more shippers during the course of this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Francesco. Next question here. You have a competitor that also offers guaranteed primary as RFP replacement. What's unique about Uber Freight?
Marian, I can take that.
Go ahead, Vivek. Yes.
I wanted to highlight some key differences or advantages. One is the scale of our network. That's now at 130,000 carriers strong. And that's just hard to beat. Second, the level of transparency that we have in our program. So at a load level, the exact realized care cost is visible. Not only that, the transparency extends to some features where shippers are actually driving the outcomes. So the features that I talked about, where at the load level, they can drive priority, they can set max price, those features differentiate us. And finally, the ability to budget, which comes from new capabilities that we have developed to measure risk and bake it into the fee, the price cap feature that really sets us apart. Now, to add to all this, with Uber Freight and Transplace coming together, these capabilities, the real-time procurement capabilities, are also available through Transplace's managed services, managed transportation programs, which adds another level of expertise and consultative approach where shippers can get additional advice on how exactly and where to use real-time procurement solutions. Francesco, if you want to add something to this, that would be great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Covered it very well, Vivek. Thanks.
Excellent. All right. And it looks like we have just one more here. It's about how to help shippers that are willing to procure in a variety of modes. Are your tools able to cover multi-modes?
Yes, we are able to cover several modes. We currently offer these tools for dry van, reefer, and flatbed. And then recently, we've also been launching less than truckload. So shippers that need to move less than a full truckload are also able to leverage our solutions to source the capacity they need and execute with the same experience they're used to on Uber Freight, that transparency, that full visibility and full automation across the load life cycle.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, everyone, it looks like that is all of your questions. So that is all that we have for today. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen in to today's discussion. Thank you to Uber Freight for partnering with us to bring it to you. And again, thank you to Francesco and Vivek for being here to share your insights with us today. As I mentioned earlier, we will be sending out a link to the recording of this webinar tomorrow in case you joined us late or would like to share it with your colleagues. We appreciate you being here and hope you'll join us again for another webinar very soon.